Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Sorry I am late. Forgot my water, and I am planning some watercolors. So I really do need a little bit of water. A lot of water. So I got a lot of water. Get stuff situated. I was kind of working on this little project before I started so that I could do stuff with you guys. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jennifer. Hi. I have allergy attacks going on. It was a very cold winter, and I think it is going to be a very pollen-like spring. I think we're going to have a ton of flowers this year. Hi, Barb. How nice to see you. I missed you on Friday. Did you stream on Friday? Hi, Susan. Hi, Kathleen. All right. So what I want to do today, I'm just going to try to get into it, say hello to everybody as I go. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Faith. So I have some allergies going on, not as bad as that one day, but I am a little snuffly. Oh, and I missed it. I tried to see you, Barb, last month, and I got all set up, ready for you to stream, and there was no stream. And then, yeah, things have been a little crazy. A little crazy last week, so a little crazy. I'm sorry I missed you. Hi, Joey. So I want to do, I'm still in bookmaking mode. I think it's a relaxing thing for me to do. And I need some relaxing. I finally finished my taxes. Ugh, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. Hey, Linda. Got them in the mail yesterday. They're finished. I'm not going to think about it anymore. I had the worst H&R Block person ever. Ended up doing it myself because I don't think he knew what he was doing. He didn't know what I wanted. Anyway, so that is done. So I kind of went crazy here last week trying to fight with him. So I'm relaxing this week and I did kind of make a book last week too. I want to make some books, just some small little books, not necessarily for any purpose. I just want to put books together. I just want to put pages together, sew them together, and, I don't know why. I'm just going with it. So I think what I want to do today is kind of like a junk journal style. So I've got it's just a style. It's not a junk journal because I'm not using junk. I am using some papers, different types of papers. Hey, Cheryl. Some of this is sketchbook paper. Some of it is drawing paper. I think there's some lightweight watercolor paper in here. There's just some plain copy paper. There's some mixed media paper, cardstock. I think this is linen paper that I had left over from something else. Here's a little bit of tracing paper. Just some different types of papers. They're not all the same color. They're not all the same length. I have not decided how large I am making this book yet, but they are about 4 inches tall. Some of them are a little less. The thing I like about junk journals is the pages are different sizes, so I didn't want them all to be exactly the same size. So they're slightly off just a tad. And I have not folded them in signatures yet because I'm really not sure how wide I want to make this book. I made this cover. Just got finished making this cover. It kind of does matter what you use. I think of a junk journal. When I think of a junk journal, and definitions are definitions, Everybody has their own definitions. I am not trying to say this is what it is and this is what it's not and whatever. My definition of a junk journal is things that things that I might have put in the garbage, things that I might not have used, leftover things, things not necessarily things that I would have kept for a project. That's what I consider junk journal material. Okay? Yeah. And junk journals, a lot of people use, scrapbook paper in their junk journals and all this fancy, drawing paper and such, and they call it a junk journal. They're beautiful. They're absolutely fabulous. But I wouldn't necessarily call it a junk journal. So that's why I said junk journal style. The style of a junk journal for me is different size pages, different kinds of pages, and that kind of thing. So this is just a journal. It's kind of plain. I wanted to use plain papers because I want to color the pages. I'm in color therapy mode as well. Not only bookmaking mode, color therapy mode. Hi, Sandra. Carolyn. Hi, everyone. So I wanted the papers to be kind of plain with no color to them because I am going to add color with watercolor after I get it all finished. Okay, so that's my thought. I did cut a piece of cardboard, and it's, not really stiff cardboard. I think it came from a gift box or something. And the pages are no bigger than 4 inches high. So I did my cover 4 1/4 inches, and I left it the entire length of the cardboard. So it's quite long. I don't even know how long it is. How long is it? How long is it? It's about 14 inches long. So I want 3 signatures in here, so my spine is going to be about that. And I do want a little flip, a little full, a little lip. Maybe I should just, I'm still kind of waiting for this to dry. So anyway, that's what I did. Took my piece of cardboard. Hi, Maria. Christine, you made a book today too. Branna, am I missing people? I'm missing people. Let me go back real fast. Say hello. You went to the Dollar Tree and you were saying my name under your breath. It's all my fault. Hi, Elaine and Franna. Did I miss anybody else? Hi, Candace. Yes, putting watercolor on other paper that is not watercolor paper can be very frustrating. Most paper is not made to hold a lot of water, so it gets really fragile. So we're going to play around with that. We are going to play around with that. I'm going to show you how I am going to get around that. So all I did was take my piece of cardboard and some book pages, some text for my cover. Hi, Emma. And just collage those down. And I used my glue stick. Sorry, I didn't mean to shake the table and all. I used my glue stick for it, and I put it in front of the fan hoping that it would dry nicely before I do any folding or anything to it. I was on my way to bed last night and noticed that Rosemary Morris was streaming. So I stopped in and said hello, and we were discussing glue, and she uses just regular washable Elmer's glue and says that she has no problem at all with it, which I thought was very interesting. But what she does is when she glues things to something that's going to be bent, like in the ditch or such, anything like that, she lets it dry flat and then messes around with it. So, maybe that is something we need to investigate. And while I'm talking about glue really fast, I do have a bunch of different glues I'm going to do a test drive on, since the Elmer's Extreme is becoming very hard to find. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to do the test drives. I have got, hi Chris, welcome. I love to see newbies. I don't remember how many I've got, but I've got quite a few different brands of glue sticks. The Dollar Tree ones and the Oohoo and the Elmer's. It's a strong, permanent one that I found. I think this is the one that they are substituting for the Extreme. A bunch of them. The only one I did not find was the Avery Permanent. I found it only online. I don't really shop a lot online, and I wasn't willing to pay $12 for a small stick of glue for shipping and the glue stick and whatever. $12 for a little mini glue stick? No, it just wasn't happening, so I don't have an Avery. Do I have any idea? Barb asks, do I have any idea what the deal is with the Extreme glue sticks? I think they're discontinuing. Like I said, I have seen, and I do have, it's a way over than I would show, but I think they are changing up their glue. I don't know if they're just repackaging the Extreme or they've got a new formula. But we're going to give all of them a test drive. I have a brand new thing of Elmer's Extreme. I've got a thing of this new permanent extra strong Elmer's. I've got washable Elmer's. I've got the Staples brand. I've got the Oohoo. I've got Blix brand. I've got I like that one too. That was my and Kathleen says that Extreme is no longer on the Elmer's glue site online. So I do believe that they are discontinuing it. That was my absolute favorite glue. It was my go-to. I love Elmer's Extreme. I love it. So I'd actually gotten a bunch of double glue stick packages when I was hurricane shopping. They were on sale, a double pack for $1.50. I kind of went crazy and I didn't buy all of them, but pretty close. And so I wasn't looking for it for a while. And now that I am looking for it again, it is extinct. It is extinct. You can find the Elmer's Extreme on Amazon, and it is expensive. You can still find it at Michael's if it isn't sold out. And I did notice when I was looking for it last month that Michael's has 2 different places that they put glue. 2 different places. And the Elmer's Extreme is in next to, usually very near where the woodworking stuff is. And all their, they call it their glue section. There's also a bit of glue over in the scrapbooking section. So you might want to check both of those places if you're looking for the last little bits of Elmer's Extreme. Anyway. So back to my little project here. Yes, everything goes out of, everything I love. It never fails that as soon as I really enjoy something, they decide they're going to change it or whatever. So I cut a piece of cardboard 4 1/4 inches wide. It is about 14 inches long. And I covered it with book pages. Now I'm not going to do that this time because I have been talking, and I was going to demonstrate, but you guys, you know, you can do this. It's very easy. Faber-Castell has a glue stick. I didn't know that. Interesting. All right. So this is the cover that I'm going to use for this. Okay, now I get to decide how wide a book I want. I am going to make this kind of a wraparound thing where it has a flap that goes in. And I should actually get my ruler out here and my bone folder so that I can kind of bend this in the right direction. I want my flap to be about that wide, that wide. I'm going to just score it and fold it. I did not grab some ribbon or material, strip of material or something. I did grab some buttons. My thought is what I'm going to do is make an enclosure with a button. I'm going to sew a piece of ribbon probably. Hi, Christoph. They've also discontinued Prit Power, your favorite glue stick in Brazil. I don't know if I've heard of Prit Power either. Wow, that's expensive, Vicky. So that's what I'm going to do is I am going to attach a ribbon and have it a wraparound, but I don't think I'm going to get that far today, so I'm putting those aside right now. So that's why I've got a little flap. I am going to do 3 signatures and I'm going to sew them in. So I need to make the book, I need to know where my center is what I need to know. I don't necessarily want to crease the center. I just kind of need to know where it is. This is going to be a huge, long book. So that is my center, and I'm going to crease the other side too so I know where it is. Okay. And I probably should have creased it this way, since that's the way the book is going to ultimately be folded. You know, sometimes I get ahead of myself, I think. Okay, so that's going to be the center signature, and that's going to be my enclosure. So it's going to be a really long book. So, I wasn't really thinking that it would be that wide. Where is a small-ish piece of paper? I may have to rethink this just a tad, as I don't really want the book to be that huge, that wide. I was thinking it would be just a little bit more narrow. Let's see, rethinking, recalculating, reevaluating. I guess I really should have thought about the size page before I started making the cover. And I think I want to cut a good chunk of it off. Good chunk of it off. I do have a little rotary cutter, and so let me chomp it off. chomp it off so it's kind of squarish. I am going to chomp it off right about there. Okay, and I now have, I had been folding the papers over the edge, so let me just glue get this out of the way, a piece of paper or one of the book pages. Just let me glue it on the edge there so it's not a raw cardboard edge. And continue on. Okay. Just like that. All right. So now my middle is right about there. And I didn't glue it very well there, did I? Leave room for the spine. Yes, 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 but I still didn't want it that much. That wide. So there we go. All right. So that's a little bit better. Little bit better. And that is better. All right. So I still want 3 signatures in it, so it will be, the spine will be just a little bit wider than that. I just kind of need to mark really where the center spine will go. I'm going to do that in pencil. And on this side too, do it in pencil. And then, I can't hardly see the pencil, but I want to be able to erase it. All right, so my center spine is this one right here. And I want to put another signature there and another signature there. Okay. So my signatures, my pieces of paper can't be any wider than that. Let me get my paper trimmer out here, figure out how wide my signatures need to be. Still just a little bit long, just a tad bit more off of it. I am measuring from the spine to the edge of the book. And so this is the largest that I can make my pieces of paper, and that is 8 1/4 inches long. All right, so here is my example. And some of these I am going to Hi, Tilda. Bye, Tilda. You guys are all discussing glue. Yeah, I'm very upset. All right, so I need to be chomping off a bunch of these. I left quite a few of them really, really long. That one got bent. Because I want to make some flip outs. So I want some of the pages to have, you know, a little pocket maybe, or So this is me guesstimating, not really measuring too much. Let me go ahead and I am cutting such a little tiny amount of paper off. I really can't do a whole lot with it anyway. So I am going to, where I had my bone folder here. So I'm just going to start folding paper for the signatures. And I probably won't use all of this because that's an awful lot. I don't know what I was thinking. I think what I was thinking is I wanted a bunch of different kinds of papers together. So I just took 1 or 2 sheets of each kind of paper and kind of did it that way and ended up with way too much. Way too much. All right, this one would be a kind of a cool flip out. So let me do it. I like this paper. It's got little bits in it. I think I got this at an office supply store. It's like linen paper or something like that. It's cool stuff. Very cool stuff. So I am just going to fold them in half and then trim them down. But not all of them because I've got too many. And I want some of this tracing paper for sure. Like those 2 tracing papers. I want to see how this tracing paper takes the watercolor. I'm sure it's going to wrinkle all up and do all kinds of funny, strange things. I think it'll be a lot of fun to see what's going to happen with it. So here's the thing. Watercolor does not go on most of these papers very well. It wrinkles it, it warps it, it never, it falls apart. And that is okay for this project. If you do not want your book to fall apart, your pages to be a bit distressed, you may not want to do this. Part of the joy of watercolor that I like is you don't have to add a ton of water. So you don't have to get the pages really, really wet. I'm trying to get just a couple pages of all the different types. Did I get one of those? I think I did. So I am going to, and I'll do this one too. I am going to do a little investigation, experiment, have a little fun, see what happens. I don't know if it's going to work. Like I said, I've not done it this way before. And so it may not turn out. Oh, well. Is that enough papers? I may need just a few more. Thinking. It may be just enough. I tend to make my projects, oh, and I put that one too because I've already folded it. I tend to make my projects way too big. So I'm trying to reel it in a little bit, Carla, reel it in, and not make them so big. So this was my tester sheet and my you have some tracing vellum. Interesting. So this is a little bit on the other side of the 4. Each page is. So I need to trim them. Let me put it this side so I can see the full. This is going to be a flip out, so I don't want to really cut that off. I just want to cut off some of this. So let me put it there and start trimming pages to be the correct size or a little bit shorter. Various different widths, so it has different size pages, because I really like that. I don't know what it is about different size pages that just makes me happy. So not all of these pages are entirely folded in half. Some of them are just a little off. Yeah, I'm going to be doing glue testing. Not today, but I will be doing glue testing. I'm not sure exactly when. I would like to do it soon. I would like to do it soon. But that is one of my stresses. I say I'm going to do it a certain day or a certain time. I'm going to do it before this. And then something ends up happening. And I'm one of those people. If I say I'm going to do something, I want to do it when I say I'm going to do it. And things happen, man. Allergies happen. That one's good. Allergies happen, or, something, the cats have to go to the vet, and then I feel bad because I said I was going to do something and I didn't get it done. Okay, so I'm not going to say exactly when. I'm going to do it when I can. And I'm going to have to do it without the Avery glue because I couldn't find any in person. I wasn't spending a ton of money on a little tiny glue stick, shipping and everything else. It just wasn't going to happen. I don't understand the shopping online thing. I'm not an online shopper. If I can't find it in person, ooh, that's thick paper, then something in the world is telling me that I don't really need it. I don't really buy a lot of stuff anyway, so it's just one other way of keeping myself from buying stuff I really don't need, because you guys have seen all the nonsense that I have that I need to use up. Okay, so there's all my pages all trimmed up. And these are too small really to do a whole lot with, so I'm just throwing them away. Get this out of my way. And start putting the signatures in 3 different piles, all these papers. So that my signatures are about, so they have about the same amount of papers in them. And they just happen to be exactly right. I didn't count them, but that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way. You like to spend money? I don't like to spend money. I don't like to shop. I go when I need something. I tend to go to the clearance part of the store. And I usually find things there that I really don't need, but they kind of find their way home with me. And I miss, if doing online, there's not always shopping. So when I'm sandwiching these together, you can see that they're not exactly the same height. They're not exactly the same widths. They're slightly off, so they're just a little bit. Hi, Lala. So that's going to be a signature. Let me put this one together. Let me put it together and see what happens. A lot of white pages on this side. Oh well, they're going to have some watercolor on them. Uh-oh. I've got a fold out and a fold out here, so I am going to switch out that one. There's the second one. I think I want this fold out to be in the center. I don't know why. I just do. All right. So these are my 3 signatures. Okay, what happened here? Uh-oh. I didn't even notice that when I folded it together that was 2 pieces of paper. So that goes to a different book. Interesting. All right. So there's my 3 signatures. And I am going to get my phone book out. Get the phone book out and figure out. Might as well do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It is fast and easy, not too much fuss and muss and all that good stuff. So, and I'm just not in the mood to do a lot of measuring and all that stuff. I'm a guesstimator. So what I'm going to do is I am going to punch a hole where I think the center is. Somewhere here on the top. And somewhere here on the bottom. And I do need clips. So that they stay together. I'm going to use that as a pattern for the next one. And put the holes in the same place. Clip it at the top. And do that for the next one as well. Like that. And this belongs in the first signature. So let me line up the holes there and clip that. All right. So then I need to clip, or I need to poke the holes in my cover, and I am just going to eyeball. It's not going to be perfect. It is going to be what it is. And I am just going to punch holes where I see the holes for the signatures are, or on the signature here. And I'm going to punch all 3. on that pencil line. So that's what I've done. They're not even, they're not well spaced, tight Tina. They are just there, okay? Make sure that they're poked all the way through to the other side, pretty much. Yeah. And I do not need that or my phone book anymore. All right. So then, let me put my ruler up. Then I am going to sew them in. I was going to use some of this baker's twine that I got at the Dollar Tree. I thought, you know, I've had it for quite a while. It is time to use stuff up, and it will be fine. So I am going to cut a length of that. Use the blue one. Since I'm putting watercolors on, that blue would be good. But I used last week too. All right. So which ones do I want in the center and which ones on the side? I think this is a side one. Let me put my thimble on because I always poke myself. All right. So you guys have seen me do 3-hole pamphlet stitch 1,000,002 times. Oh, you know what I need to do before I sew it in? I do not want to see those pencil lines. I am erasing the pencil lines now that I've got my holes punched. This is easier to do before you put thread in there and can't get all the way around them. So, and these white, what are these kind of erasers, guys? These white erasers are so much better than the pink ones. They work so much nicer. They don't get hard and icky really fast. Love them. You love that I use a thimble. I cannot not use a thimble when I sew because I always use my finger to push the needle. I always do. And if I don't have a thimble there, it hurts because I forget. All right. So again, was this the top or was this the top? I messed it around. Let me just kind of look at this and make sure that I'm sewing it correctly here. All right. Looks good. Looks good. All right. And like I said, I've done the 3-hole pamphlet stitch 1,000,002 times. It's what I do mostly. You guys have seen it. Where's the hole? So, and I do have videos just showing how I do the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. You want to see that. All right, this thread might be a little bit too thick. It's making a huge hole in my paper. I do push that needle through my finger a lot. All right, yep. The thread might be a little thick, but I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to go with it. It is what it is. Trying not to split the thread so I can get it tight, though. All right. Okay. Make sure everything is tight and there's no loose thread anywhere before I tie the knot. And I'm just going to cut it off today. Alrighty. Now it's 1,000,003 times. Yes, you know, you guys have seen this so much. You probably do it in your sleep just like I do. Right? It's really easy. When you've got some practice, you know, when you've practiced it, when you've done it a few times, it gets to be just second nature. Just want to get the book done so I can start adding some color. All right. This is going to be my middle signature. Oh, and I probably should have glued that down. That's horrible. Oh dear, people. Oh dear. Hi, Michelle. Lurk away, my girl. Lurk away. Let me put a little bit of glue underneath that because that is just way not glued down, people. Way, way, way too much not glued. Okay. So let me just dab a little bit of glue right there on the edge and get it glued down. Easier to do before you put stitching in it. And then, where's my hole? There's my hole. All right. Continuing on. Where's my thimble? Where's my thimble? Try this again. Okay. Such concentration. Okay, why can't I find the hole? Why? I got glue on my hands. Wow, this is really thick thread here. Yes, I think it is mine too. Candace says that the 3-hole pamphlet stitch is her go-to bookbinding stitch, bookbinding style. It really is easy. It really does do the job. Trying not to split the threads again so I can get it nice and tight. I think it's a lot of people's go-to bookbinding method. It works. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to mess around with the camera cord. Make sure I've got, it's not tight. I've got a loop somewhere. That's better. That is better. And I've got way too much thread here. Okay, and then the last one. take the clips off of here too. All righty. All righty. Hi, Paper Kitty. Hi, BJ. Hello, everyone. So nice to see you. I don't think I poked my holes large enough on the inside of my signature here so that I could see it on the outside. Go. Because I can't see it. Wow. I can't get it pulled through. There we go. You just got a Smithsonian Journeys in the mail? An elephant on the cover? You know, I don't know if I get that anymore. I haven't gotten one in quite a while. I think they stopped sending them to me. Not that I need any more. Probably just as well. But I do love elephants. Is it a cool elephant? Paper Kitty's lurking too. She's driving. Lurk away, my dear. All right. Make sure that's nice and tight. Put a knot in it. And then I'm going to add some color, some watercolor. This only took me face on, staring right at you. Well, how cool is that? I have another elephant. It's in a napkin journal that's staring straight on. Love those. All right, so I do not need that anymore. Putting the thread up. I don't need scissors or my bone folder or my clips. Putting them away so I can find them again. All right, so this is what I end up with. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to bend the flap so it'll go over. So it will go over, and that's the book, all right? Yeah, they're probably thinking I'm not traveling. They probably have given up on me. So that is the book, all right? That'll be a fun little thing. All right. So now I am going to get out all my, well, not all, a lot of my watercolors. I'm going to try some Jane Davenport. And here is my thought. All right. So I have these spray bottles. I think I got these at Walmart, but any spray bottles will work. And I found these little storage containers at the Dollar Tree. So this is my thought. Instead of painting on color right off the bat, I thought that I would make some watercolor spray. So let me get those out. Oh, these are nice little containers. I don't know if they're watertight, but nice little containers. Let me put those to the side. And I've got some water here. I am just going to add a little bit of water. I'd like to do a bunch of different colors. So I am just adding, let's see how watertight they are. I'm just kind of curious. Well, they are. So I'm just adding just a little bit of water. Not very much. I'm adding it to about there. Okay, can't see it because I can't turn it sideways. All right, and I am going to get a paintbrush out. I'm going to use one of these lovely little, let's see, what color do I want? First of all, what color would be fun to start out with? Maybe an orange. So I am going to grab some of this pigment and make orange water. Well, like I said, this is just an experiment. I've not done it this way before. It may not work. I kind of want a very light wash of color on my book. I don't necessarily want a lot of water on the book because the pages are not watercolor paper. They'll probably get really fragile. All right, so that's what I've done. I have put orange paint from my paint here into this little container. Now I'm just going to, I'm sure it's all pretty mixed in. Now these are not watertight, are they? Yeah, I guess they are. And I'm going to shake them. I don't understand what watercolor ground is. And I don't necessarily want to be buying something, and I don't, I don't want to be preparing papers for watercolor. I don't want to do anything. I just want to add watercolor to the paper. So I am going to put all of that and I guess I need to clean that out, in my spray bottle. Okay, so this is where the mess comes in, and I probably need to put some papers down because when you start spraying stuff, you spray everything around you. Where are my underpapers? Where are my underpapers? Here's some of my underpaper signatures. Let me put some of these blocking over here so I don't get paint everywhere. And over here, I think. All right. And I've got my plastic mat down here. It's something that the watercolor ground is something you buy to make water behave like watercolor paper. I don't necessarily want that. I just want to use regular paper. So I am going to open up the book and spray a little bit of color on the pages. Light spray. And you probably want to have this in a box or with other papers underneath it, but just a light spray. You're not adding a ton of water, so you're not making the pages extremely wet. I want to get some on the cover, some on that tracing paper. Watch it curl, and it looks like it's melting or something. Let's see if we can get it to stay straight. And I kind of want to just use it all up. I probably made too much. So, and drip it and all that stuff. Because I wanted to use it all up. Okay, so actually I'm probably going to have to go and clean out all of this stuff between colors. I hadn't thought this all the way through. And then I've got just a little bit down in here that I could drop some. It's way too much. All right. All right. So you get the idea. I've made a horrible mess. How much fun is this? I've got the sprayers that that go down to the bottom so that it uses every little bit. But yes, I have made way too much. Let me just spray it on here. So the trick of that, and there's not a whole lot here that I'm wasting that I could probably get it to spray out. If I get the tube in the right place. So it sprays out just about everything. It's one of those, the tube goes all the way to the corner, and all you have to do is tilt the bottle to get, and move the head to get every little drop out, so you can use every little bit, just like I did there. Okay, so not to make mud, it would be ideal to let your book dry between colors. Am I going to do that? You know I'm not. I think what I'll do is I'll use a little bit of pink, or I might even use the same bottle since it's already messy. And the same little container here too. I liked all the different containers there, because I thought, oh, I'll just make a bunch of different colors and then use them. But you do really have to let your book dry in between colors, because if you start adding green to this, you're going to start getting brown. I could use the heat gun too, but you know, I really do like to let things dry naturally. What's the question? The Easter egg dies. I almost got the Easter egg dies out. I've got some left over from the last time I did. Uh-oh. I've got a piece on my cover that's not good. I need to glue another piece on there. It's a huge bit that needs stuff. Look at that. How could I have missed that? All right. So I'm just going to glue, and it probably won't stick very well because it's wet, which is fine. I'll just glue it later. Okay. I'll continue on and add some more color. I'm going to go with pink. Like I said, I don't want to make mud, but with something like this, I would normally just stop here and work on something else and let it just dry naturally, set it up so it gets air to all the little bits and just let it dry. But since I've still got time, I am going to make pink next. So let me put a little bit of water in this one. And I'm not going to make quite as much this time. Let's find an interesting pink. Pink. Ooh, that one would be a cool pink. All right, let's use that one. My brush out here. And get that pink in there. When you're spraying stuff like this, you don't want to spray it too much. You'll get too much water on your pages and your pages will kind of disintegrate. They get real fragile when they get wet. This is not watercolor paper. This is just regular paper. I'm going to do another spray and then I am going to come through and do a little bit of brush work. Show you how not to put too much water on regular paper when you're dealing with watercolors. All right, so that's quite pink. Well, I do have tube watercolor too that I could use, definitely. But most people have this kind of watercolor, so I just wanted to show how you would put this in some water. It would be much easier. Let me get the pigment off the brush. It would be much easier to go ahead and use a tube, put a little bit in there, mix it all up. Sure, you could do that too. It might be easier. If that's what you have, use what you've got. I'm going to mix it all up. Kind of want to get this orange out of here. So let me just pour a little bit of water in here. Get the orange off. Spray into my water here to get the orange out of the sprayer. And then I'm just going to pour it out. Okay, and then pour in the pink. Easier said than done. Pour in the pink. And it is really nice to use these bottles that have the tube that goes all the way down to the bottom. Then you can get every little tiny drop of spray. Almost every time, a little bit. Almost. All right. Move those out of the way. Get my paper out here so that I can spray away. I want some pages that don't have anything on them this time. And you can actually do, stencils this way. I'm not going to right now, but I guess I could show you how to do stencils. I'm going to use one of these cross-stitch circle thingamajiggers. Let's just put it right there. Spray. Look how cool that is. Can you see it? Can you see it? And that way, you really want that to dry just naturally. I'm going to heat gun it just a tad. Just so it'll stay that way. All right, let me see if I can put this heat tool someplace so I don't knock the camera. So that's pretty dry. It'll stay that way. Look how cool that is. And I still have some spray on this, so I am going to put it in the book and press it down. So that I get a little bit of a design over here too. I'm going to heat gun that just a little bit too. Just so the color will stay where it is. So you can spend hours just adding a little bit of color to your pages. I've got just a little bit more pink in here in my spray bottle. So let me find some more pages. Add just a little bit of pink. We need to add some to the cover. I did a horrible glue job. Look, there's some more spaces that are coming up. And again, with this kind of a tube, I've used every little bit of that spray. I just made just a tiny little bit, but it's all used up. And I was going to actually put some on here, and I don't have any left to do that with. Wouldn't you know it? So continuing on. Use every little bit of color. And that's what I would do. And I think that adds some really interesting, I don't even know which way is up anymore. I guess this is the way up. Some interesting patterns on your pages. I don't have it anywhere near me, but I do have a, Kathy's asking if I have a glue bottle that has a really fine point. I actually have one of those needle nose paint applicators. That round stencil. You know, guys, it really isn't a stencil. You know it isn't. It is one of those cross-stitch mesh things. You know, I love to use things that are for other things. You know, I like to use what I've got. I like to use found things. It makes it a little bit more unique and my own. So I really do like, that's that tracing paper. It's getting wet and wrinkly and warped and all that good stuff. So that is a lot of fun. So if you do not have spray bottles and just want to add a little bit of color with a brush, all right? The trick for using regular paper with watercolor, not using so much water, all right? I'm going to use just a regular, this page right here is a regular piece of copy paper. I believe it's 20-pound copy paper. And I am going to use, I'm going to use a little bit of purple. Now I'm going to get my brush out here and it's wet. So I am really going to take a lot of that water off the brush and just get my paints kind of damp. And that's probably too much water for, so I can add a little bit more paint to that water. This is probably way too much water for this kind of paper. It's going to warp. It's going to get all wrinkly. It's going to not take the color very well. It's going to seep through to the other side. It's going to do all that kind of stuff. It just is, that's what it's going to do. The less water you have, the less it's going to warp. The darker the color is going to be. And I think that's kind of cool. So I am going to take this heat gun and dry that up real fast so that it will stay that way. Okay. So what we are doing here is adding color with watercolor. We're not necessarily using watercolors the way they were meant to be used. We're just adding, and there's still some color on there, so I'm just going to add it over here somewhere. And kind of go over here back to where I was. All right. Don't like to waste any color. So since I dried that, I can add another color. Let's add green, because when you add green and purple together, you get mud. But if you dry in between, you are less likely to get the mud. You can blend the colors and the colors will stay relatively the colors that you put down there. Don't want to add too much water. Really, really, you don't want to add too much water. Okay. Now I'm going to dry that up a little bit, and I might even add just a little bit, another color, just a little bit of another color. Those drops do not want to dry. They are, there's too much water there. I'm just going to blot it with this piece of paper here so that I can move on. And that's the trick. You don't want to just keep adding more and more water to your pages because, number one, you're going to get mud. Number two, the pages can't handle that much water. But that is pretty cool. I've got a little bit of green left on this brush, so let me just rub it off on this page. Little kitty cat hair. Kitty cat hairs everywhere. Oops, this one is the tracing paper. And I think I might want to add just a little bit of blue. Just a little bit of blue. Just and I don't really want all those straight edges. So let's and again, I didn't add a ton of water. So it will dry pretty well, okay? What are you looking for? Need some focusing? Uh-oh, where's my focus thingy? It's kind of the watercolor is not, it doesn't have defined edges. It's kind of blurry in itself. Oh, plastic canvas in Germany. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I ever went to any craft stores in Germany. I know I went to outdoor markets, bought lace and buttons and such, but I never went to a craft store. And then, so I would just go through this whole book and just add color. Just that way. I want to do it slowly so that it doesn't, create mud. You have to let things dry and then put more color on other bits and that kind of thing. How about if we use a little bit of watercolor? Use this one. on stamp. I'm going to use these washers here. Don't know if this is going to work. I think I've got too much water, which is fine. It is fine. It's an experiment. See what happens. Too much water. But it's fun. Use the little bit that's on my brush still. And there's quite a bit of water in that first one. And I really do want to let it just dry that way naturally. Not that I can right now because I want to go to a different page and show you more stuff. So, but I just like the way it looks. I like watercolor. I'm going to dry this with the heat tool. And so I kind of left it alone so that it would dry, but it looks better when you let it dry naturally. But when you are, in the moment and want to add more stuff, it's kind of hard to just walk away and let it dry, I have to admit. So, and I like the patterns. So I've got a little bit of color left on this. Let me just add that color here. Because we can't let any of it go to waste. And let's do a fun foam stamp. Oh, I've got the circle one. Got the circle one. What shall we do? I want to put it on one that's got a little bit of color underneath. All right, what color should we do this one? Let's do it in green. Green and blue. Just a little bit of water in my paint and paint my stamp. Okay, probably have too much water again, which makes it kind of fun. Isn't that cool? Just love it. Take your time with it. I kind of like the circles with not too much water in, but let's do a little experiment with the same stamp, same color. putting the color on. And where's my just plain water? Put a bunch of water on it, and see, this is what I like about watercolor. It gets all drippy and runny and fun. So we need to do some drips too. Let me get that out of the way. I just love it. Hi, Tina. I'm going to use the heat gun on this one as well so I can turn the page. And it's just a fun little design. Okay, it's not entirely dry. There's some little drips and stuff still, but it's fine for what I want. All right. Watercolor is addicting, Kathleen. Yes, it is. And I don't really do watercolors. I managed to poke my mat here with holes. Oh dear. Not good. I must have done that today because I didn't remember seeing that before. I'm going to use up this little bit of green. Find a page that needs some color. And I didn't use all of it up, so maybe need some like that. All right. Another one of my favorites for watercolor. Where is that page? I want to come back to this page. And I probably should wipe off my little stamp here because I will forget that I put green on it. Next time I use it, I'll have green and whatever other color I decide to use because I won't remember what I did. All right. I want to add a little bit more color to this one. And I was thinking that's a little bit dark. I've got my twinkling H2Os. I don't pull these out very often. I should, but I don't. These need to, that's pretty dark too. I want something really light. Or something a little bit more blue. Let's pull them out here so I can actually see what I've got. This isn't all I have. This is the assortment that I took out. Caribbean Mist. That looks like a kind of blue that I would like to use. All right, let me get a little Q-tip out here. The trick with these is you need to, oops, spray it out of the box. You need to let them activate. So they need a couple minutes, like 10 minutes to start activating, and I'll add some to that. Q-tips. Oh, the fun foam. While we're waiting for that to activate, let's play with the fun foam, you guys. Let's play with the fun foam for a sec. I'm gonna put a little marker there, and let's see, what color should we put on the fun foam? Purple? Purple? This water really isn't as dark as it looks. It is a little pinkish, so I'm going to use purple. But it's not. It looks really, really bad, and because the cup is dirty. It looks really bad in the camera. All right, so I'm just going to put some watercolor on the fun foam pattern here. Just like that. Oh dear. Are there techniques that I could come up with that I used to use and have forgotten about? There's a lot of techniques to use with watercolors. I don't think I've forgotten about them. I just don't use watercolors enough. One that I really, really like, and I do call it's a watercolor technique that's really cool, and maybe I can demonstrate it really fast. Maybe on something like this. One that I like to do is use watercolors and place things in them and let them dry naturally. This is one of those that I can't use a heat tool with, that it really, really does have to dry naturally to get the effect. And I'm going to use this bubble wrap, and I'm going to put it on this. I am going to paint the bubble wrap with this pinky color here. And this I usually do, well, I have done this on regular copy paper as well. It's one of those that you have to let dry naturally. I usually let this dry at least overnight, sometimes for a day or two, to get the full effect. It just does not work well if you don't. Okay? And usually what I do is I color the paper and then place objects into the paper. So I'm kind of doing it differently this time. I like to use bubble wrap and plastic wrap and aluminum foil and all kinds of stuff. You get the paper, you saturate with the watercolor, with whatever color that you've got. Sometimes I use 2, and then let the object that you're putting in there collect the color. When it dries, the water evaporates and leaves the pigment wherever your object has touched the paper. It traps the color. And so when it dries and you pull off your object, you've got a wonderful pattern. I'm just going to take that off so you can see. Flip-flops are another one, yeah. And you can do this with a bunch of different things. I'll get the flip-flops out in just a sec. Let me put some of those circles over here. Okay. But yeah, it's one of those things that I just love. And I need to visit that again and do another video with that one again, because it is, and I don't have any of the papers handy to show, but it is one of those that I absolutely enjoy the results of. Let me use up this little bit of purple. Just like that. Put that away so I can find it again. Clean up my bubble wrap so I can use that again. I use bubble wrap to death. I admit it. I use it over and over and over again. All right, so let's go back to the twinkling H2Os and this page here. I need another brush, I think. I'm going to use a big old wide brush, and actually it looks like there's not enough water in here. Okay, adding just a little bit more water. Getting the paint on the tip of my paintbrush here. And brushing over. These twinkling H2Os, they've got mica in them. Something that makes them shimmer. And they are very pretty. I love these things. I didn't have enough water in there. But can you see the shimmer? Just looks wet. It just looks wet. Yeah, I'll do a review of the watercolor thing that I haven't done it in probably a year. Probably a year, so it probably would be something to visit. To do again. And I've got lots and lots of color on this brush. So I am going to brush it off. Hopefully there'll be some shimmer on that, on it. It's not as shimmery. We'll have to visit it again when it dries. Actually, let me dry it a little bit and see if it, and see this shimmer a little bit better. Okay. So now it's dry, completely dry. So these are twinkling H2Os. I bought them about 15 years ago when they first came out. They weren't quite so expensive. They are terribly expensive now. So I mean, I love them. I have a ton of them. I probably have about 150 different colors. And so I've got them. I need to use them, and I will be using them, but I don't endorse them because they are just ridiculously expensive. They are pretty, they're fabulous, but they are just so expensive. when I use mine up, I probably will not be replacing them. But they're pretty. But anyway, so that's just some basic ways to use watercolor on regular paper with some interesting ways to add color for color therapy in your journals. I'm definitely far from being finished, and I didn't get that glued down very well. It came back up. Darn it. Darn it. I do need to, I'm just going to add more color and have some fun with it. And then I am going to add a button and a wraparound to keep it closed. It is a little bit bigger than they tossed their big jars of Pearl X. I had Pearl X for a while, and it didn't work very well for me. I think I got rid of mine too. I don't think I threw them away. I think I gave them away, but they are really expensive. I just couldn't get them to do anything cool, so I think I got rid of mine. Hi, Mrs. Gigi. I am just going to sew the button, and I'll show how to do it. I'll show you how to do it when I get to that place. I want to get paint and stuff underneath this area before I sew the button on, and I don't want to have all this, ribbon or whatever. I am going to sew the ribbon on with the button all in one thing. Just going to sew it right through that flap, and it'll be an enclosure. It'll be an enclosure. So that's, I'll show how to do it. After I add more color, I've got lots and lots of white space that need bits of color still. So I'm not going to do it quite yet. So I think that's where I'm going to leave you. It was fun. I am thinking I might make a couple more books. I kind of want to make a junk journal style book to go with the FIBS leftover bits. I want just a book to play around with all the leftover bits. I want them all in one book, and so I probably will make a junk journal style with plain paper like this so that I can add collage and bits to it. I don't even know which way's up. I think this is the way up. I don't know. I don't think it really matters. I'm going to add a little bit of color to this tracing paper so it'll wrinkle all up and have a great time. It'll sound really nice when it dries. We hope. I probably should have put some deli paper in here. I don't know if I had any deli paper to put in, but I am going to sprinkle some of this, and I'm just going to let it set here and let it dry naturally. So we'll see it later. All right, Elaine. Hey, Missy. Are you here, Missy? I missed you coming in. So thank you everyone for spending some time with me. That's the trick. when you're using just, regular paper, you want to give it a little bit of color. You've just got watercolors, a little less water makes your paper a little more happy. All right. Hi, Vicki. Thanks everyone for your thumbs up. You guys are fabulous. So glad you spent some time here today. I will be back on Saturday. I think that I am not going to be streaming on Sundays for a little bit. I think I might start up again when football season comes back. I do not like football. I don't like having football on TV. When there's only football on TV, it kind of makes me crazy. So I will probably stream again then. But I have got a lot of catching up to do, a lot of things that I need to do. And I would like to do some things for myself. So I need a little bit of time to do stuff. So I'm reeling it down just a little bit. So glad you could be here, though, Mrs. Gigi. Just reeling it in just a little bit. So no Sunday streams for a while. And I hope you try this. Let's just try, maybe just make a book or just have some fun. No stress. If it doesn't turn out, then it doesn't turn out. Thanks, everybody, for being here at the live, chatting with me. And thank you all for watching the recording if you're watching a recording. And I will see you on Tuesday. I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing. Thanks, everyone.